With more than 100 years of experience, Mitas is one of Europe's leading motorcycle tyre brands. Whether you ride on the trails, enduro, on the road or on adventures, Mitas have the tyres for you. If they're good enough for the likes of Chris Birch and Paul Tarris, they're good enough for me and our Noel. For more information, go to mitas-moto.com. Go the distance with Mitas tyres.
Hello and welcome to the Trail and Adventure Motorbike Podcast with me, Clive Barber, and my good mate, Noel Tom. For the days when you can't ride your bike, there's always the Trail and Adventure Motorbike Podcast.
Hello everybody, back again. It's that time of year. Well, it's nearly that time of year. In fact, it's nowhere near that time of year, is it really? Because the Dakar isn't until next January, but I'm starting to get excited about it now. And I know it's not to everybody's taste, but I just really like it. So this is part 2 of a podcast with the Searles2Dakar boys, Carl and Craig, and I've been very, very excited about catching up with those guys for some time now. Noel isn't here because Noel doesn't like the Dakar. He's got no interest in it. So instead, I've invited the Devonian Dakar legend. I don't know why I'm calling him that. It turns out it's from Devon, not Wales. I always thought it was from Wales. Neil Hawker. He's an awesome bloke, proper funny, an amazing rider. If you've ever been to Motorcycle Live, you'd have seen him doing tabletops and gap jumps in a tiny little arena on very unsuitable BMW GSs. So yeah, I've been really looking forward to this. It's a fantastic podcast. Even if you don't like the Dakar, have a listen because it's absolutely fascinating and I do think you'll enjoy it. And certainly for me, watching these guys next January is getting me quite excited about watching the Dakar. Although I did cancel all the sports package because it was too expensive. We might have to get that back switched on for next year. One more final thing. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. So if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, I've republished that. That is now available on your podcasting platform. Maybe you want to listen to that one first and then come back and listen to this one. Either way, you won't be disappointed. All right, enough of me waffling. Let's get on with it. I listened to the last episode we recorded. I was just saying, Craig, we recorded August the 28th in 2023.
Wow, that's gone quick.
It has, hasn't it? And you were going to do the Dakar in 25, and I was talking about doing a 3 parts of Searles2Dakar podcast, that being the part 1, early preparations. Then the second one would be how you're getting on with the preparations, not too long until you actually go out to Saudi. And then obviously we'll have to do one afterwards.
Young guys will have time on the rest day.
Podcast on the rest day.
You may have noticed, dear listeners, that wasn't Noel in the background, because instead of having Noel here, who has, let's say, limited interest in the Dakar and limited knowledge of the Dakar, so I've invited a Dakar legend, Mr. Neil Hawker, 41, to join us instead.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, you're very welcome.
41 your age?
No, I'm 42. My lucky number, but I don't know what the Dakar number it is, so I'm waiting for November to see if I might get 41, because I think if they seed it from previous, I might be able to have it, so I'm not sure. I was 84 last time and I come 36th.
This is part 2 then of the Searles2Dakar podcast featuring Neil Hawker 41. You were due to ride the Dakar, gentlemen, in 2025. Do you want to tell us what happened?
We sort of put the entry in. It got refused purely on the basis of our lack of experience on rallies. We finished Morocco, the Rally de Morocco, well, and the organisers said that it was a good result for your first rally, considering we've never done any rallies prior to that. We've done a little bit of roadbook before, but nothing, no races or anything like that, just for a bit of fun. Put the entry in, and unfortunately it got refused for 2025. We then had sort of a rethink. The organisers said you have to do another rally. The closest one for us was Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, which was this year, just gone in February.
I think when they said they wanted us to get more experience, we kind of went to them and said, what is the hardest, or what rally are we going to gain the most experience from? And they suggested the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, which is obviously out there in the big sand dunes. That's what we set about doing.
How many days and what distances are the Morocco and the Abu Dhabi?
Morocco was 4,000 kilometres, and the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge was a bit less.
How many days for each one?
6 days for both. So a prologue and then 5 days rally.
We talked last time, the first day of the Rally de Maroc was something like 700 kilometres.
Yeah, just over 724 or something like that it was.
So bearing in mind you'd never done a rally before, you went to your first rally, first stage, 720 kilometres.
It was a bit of a learning curve. Obviously, we hadn't done any sort of time card event either. So no rally. People were giving us time cards at the start, a start time. You know, we're looking at it thinking, what do we do with this now? Then people are like pushing us through the start. You need to go now. You need to go now. So learnt a lot quickly in the first couple of days. Day one of Rally de Maroc, Craig had a pretty big crash. We started off riding together, but the dust was so bad. We got to the first fuel liaison, which was quarter of the way through the day. We said we can't ride together. The dust is insane. We couldn't literally see 6 foot in front of each other. We decided to split up there, and I went ahead, finished the stage, and then waited at the end of the stage for around about an hour, I think. Craig come out at the end of the stage then with his helmet was literally all caved in. Front of the bike was smashed in. All the nav was hanging off. He cable tied it and duct taped it back together to get it out at the end of the stage. So big crash for Craig.
I think it was something like 300 kilometres of the front wheel facing one way and the handlebars facing the other. The lower triple clamp was twisted completely. At the end of the day, we tried to take the forks out, but they wouldn't come out. The top clamp and the lower clamp were that twisted. We had to hammer the fork out. But the following day, we bodged it up during that night, and as soon as I went over a jump or anything sort of hit it, it just span the bars one way and the front wheel back one way, and that's where it wanted to sit for the rest of that rally. Then I had to, the handlebars were facing that way, but the front wheel was facing right, a lot of different directions. As soon as you go over sand as well, as like Neil would know, it's quite difficult to ride in that soft sand.
So you must have hit the ground going at a fair rate of knots to do that much damage.
So the airbags that Headlight UK kind of give us, it records all the data in there. So if you crash, it will give you your GPS location, your speed. It records every information, the G-forces, and they've recorded it was about 85 kilometres an hour.
Jeez. And you walked away were you concussed?
No. When I got to, they have waypoints or a checkpoint. They had a medical person there just randomly, and they pulled me to one side and said, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And it was, "Are you sure you're all right?" Yeah, I'm fine. And then they just stopped me and said, "No, can we check you?" I'm like, "Why? I've just, I've crashed my bike, but I fixed it up. I'm fine. Like, I got no marks on me." And they just said, "No, your helmet." So, and I took my helmet off and looked at it. I was like, "Holy shit!" And then it was like I was kind of looking at it and going, "What? Why wasn't I knocked out? Like the state of it just completely caved in. Full carbon helmet did its job."
Wow. Did you have a spare one in your truck?
Yes, but that was a bit of a dilemma. Luckily, I just put a random motocross helmet in, an old one, just in case like our dad or Dave had to go and fuel the bike. But I didn't take it to scrutineering with me, so the organizer said I cannot ride with that helmet anymore. So I was like, that's my rally over. But went and found the scrutineering guy, told him what happened, said I was fine. I've been checked over from the medical staff. They were happy for me to continue. I just didn't have my helmet checked at scrutineering. He ran off, come back and said, "I can't do it now. You'll have to come and see me in the morning." All that night, pondering whether I was going to be able to continue or not. But I was focused on fixing the bike at that point anyway, weren't we, Carl? So
that day we left the bivouac at 4:00 in the morning. I think we got to the second bivouac then at about 7:00 at night after sorting Craig out, and then we worked on Craig's bike until 2:00 the next morning, and then we were up at 5 the following morning, so we had 3 hours sleep, as well as Craig trying to run around, get his helmet sorted, and all the nav gear that he'd broken off and smashed, he had to go and buy new ones. And first day of World Championship Rally was
it was a big
an
one.
eye-opener for sure.
It all went downhill from there. But you actually did all right in that rally, didn't you, in the Maroc?
Yeah, so from that day then, the next day, obviously Craig was pretty beat up, so we decided to ride together and sort of force it a little bit, sort of deal with the dust and come up with a way of managing it. So I sat in behind Craig just to make sure that I could see him at all times, and then that's pretty much how we rode the rally for the rest of it. Actually saying that, Craig, on the Wednesday, I had a massive nosebleed, didn't I? So then Craig had to sort of hang back for me then, and then we rode the other way around. But, we learnt a lot of trying to ride together.
Hang on a minute. Craig had an 85 mile an hour crash and you had a fucking nosebleed. you fucked up about him.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, I've got another tissue, love.
It was literally that. I think it opened our eyes to like when you're out in the desert by yourself. Obviously, mine was just a nosebleed. Craig had completely caved his head in. But when we're there for each other, and we have since learned in Qatar and in Abu Dhabi, we've both had issues in all parts of the rallies. So it's always nice to be together and have one on each other, to support each other. We've learned a lot and learned how to ride around the dust and things like that and the nav. And the plan for Dakar is still definitely to ride together. But I know Neil and a couple of the guys have said to ride separately. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Neil. I know you said a few things.
I just think it's really hard when you're riding, when you're thinking about so many things. There's so many variables that happen in Dakar and long days. And the thing about riding together is it works to a certain point, but what you'll find is energy levels are very different. You get into these groups, and I think you'll be in the same group anyway. You might not see the group around you, but you're always 10 to 15 minutes away from each other. Basically, you go off on the prologue and do the best you can on the prologue, because then from the rally onwards, you're in that group. Where 21, I held back on the prologue, and it took me 4 to 5 days to get into my group. But once you are in that group, you might not be together as in visually, but you're only like a few minutes apart. Like you stop for a piss and someone will pass you, and then someone will have different energy levels someone will be better in the rocks and the canyons, and some are better in the desert. But ultimately, throughout that long period of time, you're going to have dips and troughs in energy levels. And I think that's hard when someone's riding really right, feeling good, you feel fresh, you're on it. And then if you're not quite on it and you're feeling tired, but you're getting dragged on, that's when mistakes can happen. But I think you boys have done enough to realize that. And come week 2, you'll be on your own.
You'll be sat behind one of us.
Everybody's got their own way of dealing with things. Obviously, I've not got someone to ride with as such. But one of the reasons why I want to do it again, and it spurred me on, is because you guys are there. Because the thing I found in 21, I'd have this amazing day. I'd be like, oh, that was flipping awesome. And then you'd like, oh, I've got no friends to talk to. The best thing about motorbiking, you go trail riding and you sit at the pub or you sit at the lunchtime and go, oh, flipping out, that was awesome, wasn't it? This trail, that trail. And, oh, did you do that jump? Did you see the size of that dune? Or you talk about it and you laugh about it. So much happens. I just felt in 21, it sounds really sad. I made a few friends in that Malimoto area. It starts with 40 riders, but the majority of them different languages, and there was nobody other than the David Knight was there and Jamie McCanny, and I spoke to them, but they've got their own agenda. They're actually pro athletes. It was nice to speak to people now and again. I think when I did it was COVID, so everybody was scared about going into different teams and talking to each other. But I'm really looking forward to that side of things, the social side of things.
Neil, this is your third Dakar. You did the first one in 2020 and you injured yourself out of that one.
We don't talk about that one.
You did it again the following year, 2021, 37th overall, but 6th in the Mali Moto class, which is now called Original by Motul.
Originals.
So you said you had nobody to talk to. Isn't there some kind of a Chinese wall between all the Mali Moto guys and the full truck wankers?
I was wondering when that was going to come out. Whether it was, I didn't want to start it. I didn't want to initiate that. So in the Originals class, the Mali Moto class, there's 40 odd riders. Every day you're always at the heart of the bivouac. So the bivouac's like this massive village, and we're basically on the village square. Every different bivouac you go to, which is this rolling circus, it's amazing to see, actually, to be fair. We're always in prime position, right next to the campfire, right next to the catering, which is great for me, near the physio, near the doctors, near the toilets, near the showers. So we've got prime position. The truck could be 2K down, depends if you're in with the crowd or not, and you get kind of put different areas, like the side-by-sides, they can go somewhere else. The bikers usually get looked after. We're pretty lucky. We get this prime location, which is quite nice, and it is actually quite a community feel. You've got 2 trucks with you carrying your box and your kit bag and your spare wheels. Once you're in, you don't have to do anything or go anywhere.
Presumably, there are rules that would stop you from going to get any help from the Searles2Dakar team.
There is. Competitors are allowed to help each other. I'm not allowed to take my bike out, so I can walk over to their truck, grab their mechanic, and I can bring him over and get him to talk me through something, which happened in 21. Funny story, not funny story at the time, but it was like 9 o'clock at night. My last thing to do was change the oil, and I rounded off. I literally was like, I've done this 10 times now. This is probably about day 10. I didn't get my torque wrench out, and I threaded the main engine oil drain bolt. So I was just like straight away, I was sweating. I was like panic, pure, like proper, but what do I do? So I sheepishly took the bolt with no threads on to the KTM factory truck, which you can get an account with for parts. And I went to the mechanic I kind of got friendly with and showed him this bolt, and he just went, oh, and I was like, yeah. And I said, have you got a helicoil kit? And if you can you come with me? So he gets a drill, helicoil kit, everything needed. And he walked over with me. He said, okay, lay the bike on its side, put the airline in the breather holes, tie it up with a cable tie so it blows the stuff out when you drill it. And I'm there shaking like a shitting dog, drilling a 30 grand KTM rally bike. All of a sudden, when you're drilling a rally bike in the middle of the desert, everybody's interested in what you're doing. So Eurosport came along. There's these guys with big cameras over my head are sweating. I'd love to see the footage. I was honestly, and the mechanic was so good. He was like, calm down, breathe, drill a bit more, straighten up. You're shaking. Yeah, I am fucking shaking. It's a 30 grand rally bike. It's day 10. And and anyway, it all worked out fine. But long story short, yes, I can get their help. I can walk over there. I can socialize. I just can't have anybody touch my bike other than a competitor. So these boys can help me.
So when you say truck wankers, not quite truck wankers at the time of need.
And it's another reason why I was committed, to be totally honest. Not just the social side, is just knowing more people out there, knowing like their team and the guys on. Like, I know it's going to be fun. These boys, I don't think, realize that the adventure it is and what goes wrong. And I'm sure like in 2 weeks, stuff will go wrong. There's going to be times, and I can't wait for it. I'm excited to share that shit going wrong with these lot.
It's not the case of if it's going to happen, is it? It's when it's going to happen is the one. So you've just got to, like, I suppose, prepare for everything, try and mentally prepare for that situation. I'm sure, like your experience in the army, Neil, you've been in that situation before where you've had to repair something to get it going again. Even a man of your experience, you still felt the pressure of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a massive rolling circus, and you're quite overwhelmed with, oh, bloody hell, there's Stefan Peter Hansel, there's the Land Rover team, there's ProDrive team, there's your heroes, Toby Price is riding over there, and Honda and KTM and the massive trucks. It's just a huge circus, and you're like, oh, bloody hell, I'm part of this. This is pretty cool. That's quite hard to explain to people, really, is how cool the bivouac is. So much going on. It's non-stop. It's city life. You know what I mean? There's 3 o'clock in the morning, there's a side-by-side doing a gearbox test, going revving high up and down the gearbox. There's generators, there's just noise constant. And when you were repairing your bike at Rally de Maroc, you're there hammering away one night, and everybody's like, oh, look at them poor bastards at 2 o'clock in the morning still up. The next night, you're like walking back from the shower with your towel, and then someone's tower's fallen off and their back wheels collapsed, and you're like, oh, they've got a long night. You've got to be quite like, not pick and choose who you help and how you help people, but you have got to have a little that community side of things where you're trail riding, you see someone broken down, or even driving home now, like I've seen someone on a motorbike. You're right, mate? Yeah, thumbs up. Okay, now I'll carry on. In your back of your mind, you're like, oh, bloody hell, I've got this to do in a minute. I don't really want to be stopping and going to the fuel station for this stranded rider. But you do, because we're a motorcycle community. But right now, I'm proper like buzzing for it.
Yeah, same.
You've made the decision to enter, Neil, fairly recently, haven't you? It's not like 3 years in the making. You've made a decision in the last couple of months, haven't you?
Watching Dakar last year, watching these boys prepare, always been in the back of my mind. And actually, it's been like, oh, yeah. And I've had a few people hint, just go on, I'll help you. And so that's really nice. And it's like amazing. But I think you've got your life is revolved around Dakar. The point is Dakar, and nothing else matters. Everything I've joked with Sarah earlier saying, oh yeah, after Dakar we'll do that. And she's already said that last time.
Incidentally, does Sarah know? I looked at the average house price of a 4-bedroom detached in Wales.
Shit.
I reckon 3 years at Dakar, you could have bought one of them.
Me and Sarah both heard Carl say it to Marie the other day, and he said something about after Dakar, and we both looked at each other and just giggled because it was just like, You've got a certain amount of time where you don't have to requalify. So this year, 26 will be my last year. If I didn't do it in 26, I said to myself, I'll never do it again because I'll have to spend all that money qualifying. That was a big push, knowing that if once you'd go, you've got another 5 years. They've changed the point system, so you can't just go. You've got to do the hard graft that these boys have done.
We should probably explain how you guys know each other, because you all work together, don't you? As well, not your full-time job, but your part-time fun jobs.
I think we met Neil 6 or 7 years ago. Dad got us on level 1 down at Off-Road Skills, the BMW school. I don't think Neil was our instructor for level 1, but at the time it was Lel, Pavey and Cy Hewitt. And it was when those guys were trying to get together and do it as a 3-man team. So we kind of sat down with them on the night in between the 2 days, and you have a meal with everyone. And those guys were like, oh yeah, we're going to Dakar, we're looking for sponsorship. And, we got to know them a little bit. And then we came back and did our level 2. And that's when we had Neil as our instructor for level 2. Got on pretty well. And me and Craig went on to do our level 3. And then we did the GS Trophy and did all that. And then we both got offered jobs at Off-Road Skills. But in the meantime, we were going riding with Neil and bit of enduro, and then started working with him, and then that's when the friendship kind of broke up a little bit then, I suppose. And
having done the Morocco and the Abu Dhabi, has that made you feel more comfortable with doing the Dakar, or has it raised more concerns than anything else?
I think it's just the unknown of Dakar, isn't it? The other rallies we've done, Rally de Morocco was 6 days. We did Qatar, Baja as well, between Abu Dhabi and Rally de Morocco. That was 3 days. So essentially we've done a Dakar split over 2 or 3 years, but there's still that sort of, like Neil said, it's a huge event. It's long days, longer days. I think there's still that feeling of the unknown.
When we did Rally de Morocco, we did a bit of dune work, and then we went to Qatar, did a bit more dune work there. Not a lot, but it was quite hard nav at Qatar. And it kind of opened our eyes, I think, a little bit. You speak to Neil and Cy Pavey and that, and they're all like, oh, you'll love the sand dunes. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. They're really fucking hard work. And when you've got to navigate through them as well, it's even harder. It kind of opened our eyes a little bit. And when we went back to Abu Dhabi, I think we got the hang of it a little bit more. I was definitely felt a bit more comfortable after Abu Dhabi, going out into the sand dunes. I'm fine with the fast tracks and junctions. I'm fine with that, but when I get into the sand dunes and trying to navigate, that's where I was struggling.
Yeah, I agree with Carl. The combination of all of those 3 rallies, I'd like to think, it's a Dakar, so you've got the dunes, you've got the rocky tracks of Morocco. Qatar was fast. It was quite flat. There would be a dune, or you're going up the beach, something like that. The waypoints, the tulips were coming up very quick, especially in Qatar. They penalised you quite a lot with the waypoints. Even though if it was just like sort of a navigation waypoint, they would add 3 minutes onto your time for missing that one. Even with the prologue, you had to really switch on for that, because you had to go one side of a flag. You had to be like on the left-hand side. I think overall, the combination of those 3 rallies have sort of raised the bar for us. It's definitely shown us some things that's going to be at Dakar for sure.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Today's exciting episode is brought to you by Adventure Specs Super Shirt 2.0.
2.0?
Yep, it's a new version. It's got the flow armour, which is a lot more breathable, and yet it's still CE AA rated. So it gives you both impact protection and abrasion resistance.
It's an absolute game changer.
It is actually, because you completely forget you've got it on. The armour's really soft. I even find myself checking to see if I've actually remembered to put it on sometimes.
It still feels wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But it's the first thing I put on for all motorcycling activities, basically. I even wore it and you mocked me when we were doing some trials practice.
Thank God you were wearing it that day, because I don't think you'd be with us today if you hadn't been wearing it when you got on the trials bike.
It wasn't that bad. It's even been crash tested on an actual human, which I don't think any other garment has ever been tested that way.
They threw a man down a runway wearing one, didn't they?
It's actually quite scary to watch, but
he came away unscathed, which is pretty good news.
What do you wear over the top of yours?
Well, you know I'm a bit of a hipster, so it's usually a check shirt and a very long beard.
Just something to hide the coffee stains.
Yes, the very rare blend espressos that I normally drink.
Nice.
So there are sizes for all from small to, I think, triple XL. It's quite stretchy as well, so it'll fit women and it fits fatties like me too.
To get your super shirt, head to adventurespec.com. Right, nobody likes talking about crashing, but if you ride, especially off the beaten path, it's something we all have to think about. As adventure riders, we often find ourselves in remote areas, sometimes with no traffic for miles. And even if you're riding with mates, if you go down in a ditch or behind a rock face, it might take a while before they realise or even find you. And those minutes, they can be life critical. That's where Real Rider comes in. It's the only government-certified automatic crash detection app for motorcyclists with a direct ambulance service connection. If you crash and can't respond, it sends your exact location with medical info straight to emergency services. So help is on the way fast. And yet, we all drop our bikes from time to time. Real Rider knows the difference. With smart features that filter out false alarms, way more reliable than your smartwatch SOS. That's why it's trusted with a direct connection to ambulance services. It works across the UK, Europe, North America, Australia and New Zealand. And beyond crash detection, you also get group ride features, route recording, and most of all, peace of mind. No tracking your speed, no data to insurers, just safety, not snitching. Real Rider Premium for less than the price of a coffee per month. Download it now, ride protected, explore further.
So you're feeling a bit more comfortable with the navigation now?
I am.
I think it's Carl, you said it was something you're a little bit more
I think it's the way I nav. I'm okay with it if it's like fast, quick junctions and you don't really have too much time to think about it. But I think when you're out in the sand dunes, you've got a bit more time looking at the same cap heading, 233 degrees or whatever it is. And yeah, I do struggle a little bit with that. I definitely got comfortable with it. I wouldn't say I feel confident, but I'm comfortable.
There's a few different styles of navigating, isn't there? I don't know how you navigate, Neil, but me and Carl are completely different. So Carl can read like 3 notes and go left, right, left. I don't read it like that. I read it like the top one, and I read the information. I'll constantly check. I'll look down, so if it's got a warning sign, I will constantly look at that warning, probably over navigate maybe. Whereas Carl, he'll scroll through the road book. He'll go like, there's a pylon over there, and I've just scrolled through the road book. So we'll just head towards that pylon. But there are waypoints across there. I think Carl's vision is just like slightly more up than mine. I don't know whether that's a confidence thing, but sometimes that way catches you out because you're going through it quite fast then. You're going through the road book fast, and there could be something in there like the waypoint's just, you've got to turn right at a junction just to get the waypoint, and then you come back onto the track. Quite easily to get lost in that situation. But then again, Carl can cover a hell of a lot more ground than I can. But then it's like the turtle in the hare kind of thing. Neil, how do you navigate?
I'm pretty simple. I can't remember too much. So I just use the top. So yeah, I've got a road book from Dakar. And if you're just looking at one line, there's a lot of information there, isn't there?
You've basically got your mile marker on the left-hand side. You've then got your tulip diagram, which tells you which direction to go, and then there's additional information there too.
It is pretty simple, and I think Dakar is a little bit easier than other rallies on the navigation, purely because of the distance between the next note. I found it really easy on cap headings in the desert because I go off the distance more than anything. I have a look at the line, the information. If it says 70k and then the next one is 75, I know I've got 5k of going in that direction. So I've only got to stay. I've got to look up and say, there's a big hill, there's a medium hill, I'll go in the middle. But I think in the actual dunes is easier to navigate. I think the hardest navigation was in the rocks. There's no tracks until the cars destroy it and make it even harder, which this coming Dakar, then there's motorcycle only days. So that'll be really interesting. I think they're going to be hard navigation. I just try and keep it simple, slow down. I passed a lot of people going wrong. David Knight, multi-world enduro champion. I passed him on a motorbike race. I had a helmet on and I was on a motorbike.
All right, don't show off.
It was the best moment of my life. It's like, honestly, I came into the liaison and he looked over to me and goes, "What the fuck are you doing passing me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know." It's very fun, is David. It is so easy to get lost. I remember once we come into this massive bowl. It was huge. It was like a massive like amphitheater, but it was like on steroids. It was huge. Came in, it was just dunes all around, and all I saw is loads of bikes circling on the right. Why are they over there? It like says left, but every bit of my body wanted to go right because they're all over there. But I just went, no, trust yourself. And I went left, and I was like, oh, there's the waypoint, and went. I think you just got to slow down, read the road book, believe yourself, because I think it's so easy to get drawn into other people, especially quads. And I'm glad they're not here. Quad wankers everywhere. Hate it. Honestly, they're so good at navigating and they're just so fast because they're sat down 4 wheels flat out and they cause so much dust. I had tussles with quads daily. They are really good at navigating. So every time I pass one and get lost, he'd come past me. I was like, ah! It was really annoying. From Dakar, I think it just took me a while to learn just to slow it down, trust yourself, and read what's on the book.
That whole navigation thing is the insanity of the Dakar, though. And I'm kind of thinking a lot of people that listen to this that aren't that familiar with the Dakar won't realise is that you're doing 85 miles an hour across rocky terrain, a piste, as they call them in Morocco, I know for sure. So you don't really know what terrain you're going to hit. You don't know whether you're coming into a boulder field. So you're doing 80, 90 miles an hour, and the top guys are going even faster, right? And at the same time, you're having to read some quite detailed information on a roll of paper. Is it still paper, or have they gone fully digital now?
I think they've gone digital, haven't they?
But even so, you're scrolling up and down a screen, looking at maybe 15 pieces of different information. That is the madness of the Dakar. It's not a case of just going fast and following somebody else, going the right way and avoiding penalties.
It's very hard to explain that to people. The roadbook is definitely stressful. There's hidden waypoints, there's masked waypoints, there's danger waypoints. There's so much information. I think if you just trust it, you know something's coming. What I like, the ones that are like 20k, stay on this track. You know, for 20k, you can go flat out. It's brilliant. You don't have to think, okay, right, it's 100k now. At 120, I'm doing something else. But for 20k, I can have fun. Or look at the scenery. Or, you know, I mean, I think people forget what an unbelievable country it is. Take away all the other stuff. The actual terrain is mind-blowing. I'd love, like I've said it a few times, I'd love to just take friends and go riding there, which you can. There's trail riding, there's dirt bike. Saudi, Michelle, who runs that, and who I met, he was on Malimoto as well.
You just can't go to the pub afterwards.
That is it. And on that point, I finished Dakar and we went for a Burger King. Oh no, it was TGI Fridays and we cheersed a can of Coke. It was like so anticlimactic. Yeah, it's another reason why I'm buzzing to go, and especially share the journey with you guys, and because we can get on it on the flight home.
So, guys, you've had an extra year to prepare, whether it's bike, yourselves, logistics, and whatever. What have you been focusing a lot of your time on? I still see a lot of posts of graphs and charts with fitness training. What have you been able to do that you might not have been able to do otherwise?
Neil's our sort of mentor, so we kind of go to him. And
not for race fitness, surely.
The mental side of it is we've done a few of the British Enduro Championship rounds. Neil runs them, so he's the event organizer. So we'd done Rally du Maroc before we did some of the British rounds. I have never struggled so much on a bike. Doing my first Enduro at Helmsley up north, it was the struggle on the bike, and the mental side of it is incredible. Like, it was nowhere near what Rally du Maroc was. I was properly struggling. Like Neil said, like, keep at it. You know, every day it hurts. You just got to keep going, lap by lap, check by check, get through it, get it done. And now, actually, mentally, they're not too bad. They're still difficult. When I did Lossiemouth, which is like whooped out sand, how long was that lap, Neil? Hour and a half, was it?
Physically, that is tough.
So hour and a half non-stop riding on whooped out sand tracks. You get into the pits, you've got 12 minutes to fuel your bike up, have something to eat, tell your wife you love her, and you'll see her in another hour and a half. And off you go, back round and do it all again. And I think we did 5 laps
was a lot.
I'd worn the skin off my arse doing it, properly suffering. And on the Saturday, I came in and I looked at my wife and I said, like, I can't do another lap. I cannot physically do another lap. And then just as I was pulling in, so she was like, yeah, okay, of course, yeah, pull in then. Just as I turned the bike around to ride back to the van, Neil was walking across the paddock and literally he's like, oi, what are you doing? I was like, I'm done, mate. He's like, what, you hurt yourself? And I said, no. He's like, what, mentally? Yeah, I'm done, right, fuck that. Get back out there. No way. You think Dakar's going to be this fucking hard? Like, literally. I was like, little boy, just put my helmet back on then. Okay, back out. And you know what? I finished that day and then I rode the second day. So it's 2 days. So you have to do it all again the second day. And the second day was actually easier because you've kind of gone through that mental state of pain and getting over it. The second day was actually fine. And then, yeah, we did the second day and then ended up driving all the way home as well, which is a 9-hour drive from up there. Obviously, we've been doing our fitness with MotoFit. A few things with Bennett, days out at the British Superbikes, obviously the off-road skills school. We've been schooling down there. Yeah, just trying to raise money and awareness, really.
One of the things that Cy Pavey said to you was enjoy all this preparation stuff, enjoy going on ridiculous podcasts and all these extra sort of things that you've ended up doing. Have you got to do any fun things of
Yeah,
note?
I think the one that is going to always stick with me is thrashing the rally bikes around Headwell Park. John McGuinness was next to us on his factory Honda bike. So that's a moment I won't forget.
Were you on Nobblies?
Yeah, full Nobblies. We just had to wear leathers, which were an experience getting on. Never worn leathers before. Luckily, Bennett's, those guys sponsor us. We get to do things like that. So they asked us to come along and do that. They invited us to Brands Hatch, which was unreal. VIP, full treatment, behind the scenes, went in all the garages. My son Arthur, he sat on a factory Honda sports bike. There's very few people have done that before, so we're very grateful for Bennett's for doing that for us.
ABR Festival, they had us over. We've got to do talks on the stages, and Pavey said, like you said, he said it's not just about Dakar, it's everything that Dakar will make you do. Yeah, the journey's, it's been incredible. You know, just like doing podcasts and stuff like that, you know, everyone that's listening now, it's mad that people are going to tune in and listen to two dickheads from Wales.
There's three of you.
Yeah, with their mate.
Talking about living their dream.
I'm from Devon.
He's English but lives in Wales.
Tell me a little bit more about the fitness training that you've been doing. And it is bike-specific stuff.
In sort of mountain biking as well, adventure biking. So it's not just like you kind of enduro. He based it around enduro, but then he sort of adapted it into mountain biking, motocross, adventure bikes, general fitness as well. But they're pretty brutal at times, roughly about an hour. It's all high-intensity stuff, repetition stuff, burpees and God knows what other disgusting stuff we have to do. Spikes our heart rate to the max.
3 live sessions a week that we do, 45-minute sessions, then a cardio session at home, or you can go out and do a run just to get the blood flow in, and then a mobility one then at the end of the week where you're just stretching and trying to get everything moving or keep everything moving. But we also track our calories and everything as well, so he keeps an eye on our diet, make sure that we're eating what we should be eating. I mean, summer's just been and gone, obviously. Craig's had holiday with the kids. We've had weddings. We've moved house and had a baby as well. The last 6 to 8 weeks have kind of gone out the window a little bit, but now we're charging into Dakar. It's sort of full steam ahead on workouts and dietary stuff and all that sort of stuff.
So other than the fitness, have you got everything else organised? You got the bikes in time to do the Morocco, which you were a bit concerned about when we spoke August. Trucks ready to go, well stickered.
It's almost there. Our old man, he's working his socks off on that, isn't he? Every day he's up the workshop doing sort of 12-hour days on that to get it all ready. Bikes are currently with our mechanic Fred, Boxerworks. So he's a BMW specialist, BMW trained mechanic, but he does other bikes as well. Fully stripped down, new bearings, new engines, basically going to be new bikes from the ground up. Although they're 2024 model, but essentially for Dakar they'll be brand new bikes.
What about you, Neil? What bike are you going to be taking?
I'm going to be on a Honda.
Tell us about that. That is a factory 450.
Yeah, so it's one of 50 being made. So it's the first year that Honda have actually made a production bike for the customers to buy, which is really exciting. One of one coming to the UK. So yeah, one of 50 worldwide. For me, because I haven't got a rally bike. I was either going to go on KTM, I was going to buy new, whatever happened. So I weighed up KTM. Honda is pretty much KTM a Honda now. All the Cove, I've always liked Hondas. I've always been a massive Honda fan. And when that came out as a customer availability, was like, yeah, definitely I'm going to put my name for it. I asked how much it would be to order one, and they said you can order one now and pre-order it. And I didn't really think about anything else. And I went in.
Did you have to qualify at all to be sold one? Was it like a Porsche GT3 that you have to prove that you're going to use it?
Yeah, they asked about my social media. They asked about what I was going to do, the plans. They even then went back to Honda UK and asked who I was. Honda UK didn't know who I was really, which is because Dave Thorpe did. World motocross champion Dave Thorpe, one of my heroes. He vouched for me very nicely. So they came back and said, yeah, okay, €8,000 deposit to get it onto the assembly line. And then I had an email yesterday saying it's ready to pick up. I haven't got a clue how. I might have to go to Italy to pick it up, or looking at import tax and duties and all that stuff right now. So it's quite exciting. I'm not looking at figures. Money is like, I've not got enough anyway. I just have to work harder getting more. I'm going to wing it as I do. I've got to sell a lot more T-shirts. I've managed to find a very good friend who's going to buy half of it. At the moment, I own half a Honda rally bike, which is pretty cool. I'm paid for that half yet.
For all of you, I guess you guys are still needing cash as well. You both do some sort of smaller scale things. You sell merchandise. Neil, you do Patreon.
Yeah.
Guys, you have some packages ranging from £50 upwards. How can people get involved and help contribute and be part of the Dakar with you?
We've just got a website, so for anyone listening, if you go to Searles2Dakar.com, go on there. There's a range of packages that you can buy. You can buy T-shirts, hats, beanies, all sorts. We've also got the corporate sponsor packages as well. So if you want your company logo on the bike or on the truck or anything, we're basically at the point now where we will do anything for money. There's a contact us page. Drop us an email and we'll be there.
Neil, what about you?
Anything for money, whatever. Nobody wants to buy my feet pictures. It's unbelievable. Dakar is still quite niche. It's the hardest. It's the hardest motorsport event in the world. There's many reasons, and the biggest way to get support, feel like you're part of the adventure, because Dakar, you need so much support. You need a lot of people around you, because ultimately I'm saying, hey, give me money because I want to ride my motorbike. And it's really hard to do that. But when you get everybody part of the adventure, WhatsApp groups, go training with them, after Dakar, do trips with them, do coaching. There's so many other things. The motorcycle industry's, it's small. I'm not too worried about the in-industry stuff. I'll get tyres somehow a little bit cheaper. I'll get kit a little bit cheaper. If I get free stuff, brilliant. But it's the hard cash that's really, really hard. The entry fee is €20,000. The motorbike is €30,000. Just my individual budget, 75k. Outside the industry where you're only going to get the money, or people coming into motorcycling. So for me, working with Off-Road Skills, I meet a hell of a lot of people. I manage to do trips with them. It's fantastic, the support we get for all of us, for us three. I think that's where we meet the most people. We trail ride together with people. You go to events and you meet people, and then people want to be part of your adventure. Now, if there's a few hundred people all giving you £10, buying a T-shirt and getting them on board, that is then gold, because they're all part of the adventure. And then before you know it, someone comes along and says, oh, my company can lose $2 or $3 grand in tax by sponsoring. We usually sponsor the local football club for their kit. This year we'll sponsor you for Dakar. And I've got a lot of sponsors like that who, I'm not saying they're creative marketing, but they do help so much. And with all three of us, it's soon as you start breaking it down and people outside the sport go, bloody hell, that's amazing. Yeah, I want to get involved. And that's cool. It's cool to have so many people jumping on board. It's such an adventure. On a motorbike, you're on your own. But as soon as you open it up to everybody...
I was just going to say, before Neil and a few others convinced us to try and qualify for Dakar and go and race it, the closest we thought we were ever going to get to Dakar was our family-run business, Liquitech. We sponsored Neil and Si Hewitt when they did the Dakar. So it was really cool that you can see, your company logo on that bike and on his toolbox, and you're watching his videos and you're like, genuinely feel like you're there with him. And, it's cool to be a part of that, and you're kind of proud to be, to see him do well and things like that. So we've kind of seen it on both sides as well. It's, to be a part of someone's Dakar journey is very cool.
It also helps with the mental side of it as well. So if you, Carl's just finished the other week, he finished a 24-hour enduro, and our dad at one point said to him, can you just have a rest? And Carl just went, no, there's people that are backing me, that they're going to want me to finish this. They're going to want me to push on. So you do get this, like Neil said, you get this community. You get like it's like a family kind of backing, isn't it? Like everyone's just supporting you so well. Yeah, it's great that everyone is giving us money to go and do what we love to do, but they do feel part of it. It's not just giving someone a load of cash and going, oh, well, I'm not going to see any of that again. You are part of it. And you started a WhatsApp group, Neil, didn't you, when you did your Dakar, and we got to see Neil go over the finish line, and he filmed himself. So he was like, bloody hell, I've done it. It was just, it's awesome to be part of that.
That is really cool. Like one of the nights, a few KTMs were snapping swinging arm bolts, pivot bolts. And I said to the group, hey guys, like, what should I do? Should I carry a spare? And like talking to the group live from Saudi. And you got people saying, hey, I've just put 50 quid into the bank account, go and buy one. And then another person says, go and buy two, here's 200. And it's, I know, stuff like that, but that's all fun. But on the WhatsApp group, there's still people who've met each other through me doing Dakar, because I did like a sponsor ride and come to Portugal ride with me and do this and that and loads of stuff like that. We went to Wim Motor Academy in Portugal. I was there for a month, and people who sponsored had the opportunity to come along, and it was absolutely brilliant for me.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons why I thought about Dakar, Neil, was when we went to Wim's.
Well, we're going to get Clive and Noel out to Wim's and come do a road, but I'm going out there in November. You're more than welcome to help me. My plan is when I get the rally bike, I'm not going to ride it in the UK. It's going to be really hard, but I'm not going to. I'm going to put it in the van, drive down to Wim's Motor Academy down in Portugal. I'm going to do a road book, run the bike in for 2 hours, pack it away, and then do a few more road books on their bikes. But I'm inviting people to come with me because it's going to be wicked.
2 questions. I mean, it sounds great. I'd love to come. Do you need to bring your own flask, and what time's bedtime?
Depends how rowdy you want to be and how much steak you've eaten. I mean, it doesn't happen in November, but I am going to give that opportunity for sponsors to come out and join me in Portugal again, because it's bloody good doing 300 odd K of road book and coming to the end and going, wow, that was amazing. We didn't open one gate. There's food waiting for us. We had a lovely lunch. It's so relaxed.
So 300K, it's over a 3-day period, is it? Are you going to be doing anything different in 26, Neil, to what you've done before? Or are you going to be aiming for a top 5 after your 6th place last year?
There's a veterans class, and I'm over 40 now, so fuck yeah. In 2021, I was so scared of not finishing. I didn't ride how I wanted to ride. I know I was holding back. I was very, very cautious. I was cautious for the first week, got into it. I do want to go and actually race it this year. I feel that I always start slow, whatever I do. It's gonna take me another 4 or 5 days to get into it. But I'm hoping I can be around I'd like to say top 3 in the originals class. I don't think I can better my overall result, but the rate of attrition is so high, you never know what's going on. You never know. Them top 20, I'd say top 30 are all either professional or semi-professional or ex-professional riders. The talent in that top 30 is unreal. And we're not athletes, we're normal motorcycle riders. There's 100 of us amateurs, and there's 50 amazing people. Them top 15, they're winning or crashing out. So you can kind of take 10 out of the top 20 out of mechanical or crashing. The rate of attrition is very scary and a lot goes wrong, but I am going to try my hardest this time.
Carl and Craig, you said 2 years ago that you were just in it to finish and finish together. Is that still the goal?
Yeah, still the goal.
Yeah, 100% for us. Nothing mad. Like what Neil just said then, you've definitely got to be riding at a pace to make you think. If you back off a little bit and you start relaxing and you're not watching what's happening, I think mistakes can happen then. So I think we'll still be riding at a reasonable pace, but for sure we're going to be together.
Both of your paces are very good. It's going to be a good pace anyway. I know these guys are bloody fast. I think when they say they're going to finish, to the people listening, they're not out there trail riding. They're not poodling along. Even though they're riding together, they're riding at a pace where they want to get home every day. It's still a fucking fast pace.
You're against the sun, aren't you? That's what you're ultimately trying to beat, is the sun. It's dark when you get up in the morning, and the last thing you want to be doing is rolling in the dark. You don't want to be out on that stage having a dawdle. You want to get it done, get back, get fed, get into bed. Like Neil said, it'd be great to go back there one day and just kind of treat it as a holiday. When your helmet comes on, it's go time.
Have you thought of any scenarios whereby you might end up having to split up? Injury for one. Obviously, you're going to hang around until you know the other one's going to be taken care of. Have you discussed different scenarios, what you might do if such and such happens?
I think we know each other pretty well now when we can judge. Like, I can see if Craig's having a bit of a tough time, I can just let him have a few minutes by himself just to give himself a bit of a bollocking, and then you can see him square up and we go again. Abu Dhabi, I had a crash on the start of a marathon stage. The stage is over 2 days. So we didn't actually go back to the bivouac. We had a wild camp that night out in the desert, and I crashed about 40k into the first part of it and tore my intercostals, the bit that's in between your ribs. So it was really painful. I was kind of just like, Craig, you just carry on. I'll just poodle to the end. But he was like, no way, I'm sticking with you. And literally every sand dune, Craig stopped at the top of every sand dune, looked back to make sure I was coming, and then he'd know that as I was coming up, he'd drop off it. And then he'd go to the next one and wait as I come over. And then like sometimes I'd go over the dune and I couldn't hold my weight because my ribs were hurting. So I'd like go over the handlebars. So then sometimes he'd ride back and help me pick the bike up, put his bike on the floor, help me pick my bike up. And then I'd get on mine and then go again. And then, yeah, we kind of spent 2 days doing that. If Craig wasn't there, there's not a chance I'd have ridden out that stage. I probably would have been hurled out.
I nearly called it. I don't know, was it about 100k after you came off? I could just see that the tiredness really kicked in, and although he was pushing through that pain barrier, you could just see that his body was starting to shut down. I stopped at a dune, I looked back, and I could just see that his elbows were down. The sand's so soft and loamy out there, it's like riding on talcum powder. You could just see that the front wheel, as soon as you shut off, that front wheel's going in. It went in, twisted, and he just went over the bars, and he was just like on his hands and knees. And I was like, fuck, right. I can't push him anymore. I can't pull him along. It's just ruining him. So I rode back. Marie, was she pregnant then? I think she was.
Yeah.
But no one knew, did they? You just had your scan or something the week before. And I just went, I'm calling this now. You've got someone else to think about. We'll go again. We can go to another rally. Let's just call it. Carl was pretty like, nah. Just that bit of a discussion with each other, kind of like switched Carl back on. And then I said, right, we're in these dunes now. I scrolled through the road book. I said, we've got a bit of a wadi or a plateau, salt lake or whatever it was. We'll pull over. You were struggling with your bike, I think, when you was the handlebars a bit twisted.
Yeah, twisted the front and bent the handlebars, yeah.
So I said, right, let's just get on that flat. We'll pull out the way out the main line, just in case any cars are coming. Jump off the bike. I'll get the toolkit out. Just put it on the side stand and just lift the front wheel up so I can slacken everything off. Had a look at it, tightened it all back up. Good to go again. And then you were, from that moment on, you were all right then. We do know each other. We are brothers. We have worked with each other for 20 odd years. When the chips are down, we know how to bring each other up.
I've got a question for Neil. 80-90% of the paddock is going to be KTM rally bikes. The Honda's a fairly new bike. You've got confidence in that bike. I appreciate it's developed from the factory bike, but everyone goes belt and braces with the KTM. You've obviously gone a little bit of a different way, which is cool because I think it'll make you stand out a little bit more as well. That's the first time that bike's going to be at Dakar. I know there'll be a handful of other guys there with it, but just wondering if you thought about that.
RS Moto are going with a same scheme with what KTM did, so you can get parts from them. Henk from the Netherlands, I think it is. They're taking a team, so they've got rental bikes. There is a few there. There'll be more there this year than ever, I think. So I'm pretty confident, to be fair, on the bike. Known to be pretty reliable, and Honda UK have just said they'll give me a CRF 450 RX from now until Dakar to train on. We've got a bit of a media plan with them and Bikewell TV. We're going to do a few Dakar days, which, again, you're probably going to be dragged into somehow. We're probably going to leave Wales at 4:30 in the morning, go down to Daythorpe Honda Off-Road School, ride all day off-road with him, ride back, camp somewhere, do the Welsh Tet. We didn't want to do the Welsh Tet in one day because people will go, oh, you were riding way too fast on the trails. If you imagine a day of Dakar in mileage, I leave Cornwall, go on the motorway and A roads all the way to London, leave London, go flat out from London to Edinburgh off-road. Once you've finished in Edinburgh, go to Glasgow on the road again. And that's a day. And yet when you say that to people and they go, that's a long day in a car. It's a long day on a motorbike. And then you've got to change your tyres and change your air filter and change your oil. But that's how I explain it. But yeah, I am confident in the Honda.
Awesome. One more question to Neil. What would your top piece of advice be to these two Dakar new guys?
Go fast, take chances, is always, isn't it? My top piece of Dakar advice. Eat. Eat when you can, sleep when you can.
I'm not taking that advice from you again. I ruined a pair of boots because of you.
And learn how to piss on the move.
Seriously, you actually piss as you're riding along?
So if you imagine you chase dust clouds, you've passed someone. If you're competitive, you like pass someone, you're then dusting someone else up. Every time you stop is probably over the average is probably 5 minutes over the day, 5 minutes over 13 days.
Don't you get sand in your foreskin, though?
No, I try not to. I try not to do it in the dust, and I try not to flash people. But my way of doing it was when you go into speed zones. So you might have a zone, let's see if there's this road, but you might have a zone that you're limited to a certain speed, usually 50k, which is fine to piss and move, piss off the side of the bike. And then you can do that. But the problem is if you're desperate for a piss, you have to scroll through the road book and see when the next speed zone is. And if there's not one for ages, you just got to stop. To manage that is quite an art.
That's not a piece of advice I was expecting, but I'll take it.
Eat, sleep, piss on the move.
I've got to know you guys a little bit over the last couple of years, and I think Dakar 2026 is probably going to be the most exciting one for me as well to watch how you guys do. Thanks for doing this, and I'm fucking really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's mega. And obviously, if you want to catch up after and have a chat.
Yeah, definitely. We absolutely should, and see how you've all got on. See, told you it was going to be good, didn't I? Hey, listen, if you've got some spare cash or you know somebody who might want to sponsor these guys, please go to Searles2Dakar.com or NeilHawkerDakar2026.com. I'm sure they'd appreciate anything you've got to spare, whether it's buying a T-shirt or doing some other kind of sponsorship with them. Right, that's it for this week. See you next time. Thanks for listening. We really do appreciate it. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and if you really appreciate what we do, please consider supporting us on either Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee. Links are available on our website, tampodcast.com, where you can also go to our store, that's a shop in English, and buy some branded stuff. Please keep listening and, more importantly, spreading the word. Right, that's it. Just a final word from one of our sponsors, and we'll see you next time. Are you heading out on an adventure? Whether you're tackling the Tet or hitting the green lanes, don't forget to pack the Pits and Bits Towel Off Body and Hair Wash range. It's the ultimate waterless wash. Just pour it on, rub it into a foam and towel it off. That's it. No water, no rinsing, no fuss. It's lightweight, smells amazing, and most importantly, it gets rid of mud, sweat and odours fast. Perfect for when you're off the beaten track. Stay fresh, go further, and do it all sustainably. Grab yours now at pitsandbits.co.uk, and don't forget to use the code TAMP at checkout for a massive 20% off.